We're here with Peter Sage, and I'm very, very excited to find out more about his adventure this year because it's incredibly insightful. We got a chance to talk a bit beforehand. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but you're going to get a ton of value out of this interview. This personal development through martial arts program, and martial arts are excellent to teach you willpower, this idea that you can get over obstacles. However, martial arts don't really teach you how to actually succeed in life, how to get a promotion, how to get better relationships, how to get over addictions, right? Which is something that I'd love to hear more about. And that's what I'm looking to get from you, Peter, more insight in that sense. Mm-hmm. So for the people who don't really know you, just tell us a bit about how you started your journey. How did you become like an entrepreneur? Was this something that you always wanted to do, or was it more of a circumstance situation?
It's a classic question that people get asked, are entrepreneurs born or are they made? Mm-hmm. And the answer is both. If I give an analogy of, let's say, a guitar player, everybody can learn to play the guitar. Yeah. But not everybody's going to be Jimi Hendrix or Eric Clapton. Mm. So, there is a natural predisposition, there is a natural tendency, and for many people that can express itself in a variety of different ways, whether it's as an artist, whether it's as a school teacher, whether it's as an entrepreneur. Yeah. Your inbuilt natural guidance system will take you towards that if you're willing to listen to it rather than the fears that are stopping you from following it. Yeah. And that's, martial arts are very good at being able to help, conquer that and outgrow it. But for me, I always, from being at school at a young age, found that I got a gift for business. Yes. I was always selling stuff in the playground. I was always, trying to figure stuff out. And I never saw myself as somebody that would have a job. Yeah. I could never bring myself to really comprehend why would somebody settle for less than what they're worth. Now, I now know because some people are very happy to take a job because a job will give you certainty to an extent, although the ultimate job security is in the ability of the CEO to run his or her business. But for me, I'm like, well, hang on a minute. If I'm going to earn, even if it's a huge wage, let's say, 1,000 euros a week, which for many people in the world would be a good wage. If I was going to earn that much, it means that the job has to be worth more than 1,000 euros.
Did you always have the sense of high self-worth, or was it something that you actually built? Because in my case, it was really something that I had to work on.
We're born with only two fears: fear of loud noises and falling. That's the only two inherent fears that we have. But we very quickly learn in an environment growing up where love is rewarded for behavior, that if we're not good enough, we don't get love. Yes. And so we grow with a huge amount of fears around self-esteem, self-worth. So it's not something that many people have naturally. Mm-hmm, we're born with it naturally, but then it's eroded through childhood, which is our formative years. And as a result of that, yes, there's a lot of personal work and personal growth for many people to polish the mud off of the diamond to allow it to shine again.
Yes, that makes total sense, actually. Why do you feel that, or how do you, for the people who are very enthusiastic about, making their lives better, what is the number one tip that you feel that they can get a better sense of self-worth, or going back to that state, that natural state that, I am enough, just the way I am?
Yeah, everybody wants the one thing. Life's not an instrument; it's an orchestra. So there's many different factors. But if I was to try and address the question as best I can, the ability to be independent of the good opinion of others. I call it goop, G-O-O-P, the good opinion of other people. Yes. All right. Many people spend their life swimming in goop. They become this giant adaptation machine. which means that I'm not going to be authentic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have my personality shine through as best I can, but I'm going to modify my behavior so that I will do things that I feel will get me approval, significance, connection, validation, all of the usual suspects that people crave because they don't give it to themselves. So if I was to give one tip for being able to shift your life, to be able to create more self-esteem, it would have to be to recognize that the good opinion of other people is a weight around your neck that will give you a fast trip to unhappiness for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
Get out of it. You don't need. In fact, I used to say when I was 21 years old, when I have as many hate websites as Bill Gates, I know I'll be doing well.
Yes.
And the modern equivalent to that is Donald Trump. I mean, love him, hate him is not the issue. Like his politics or don't is not the issue. The fact that this guy is starring in his own movie, as we all do, and he's playing the role of the most powerful person in the world in his own movie, yet half of his own country hate him, or more.
That's so funny because you said
and he doesn't care.
He's starring in his own movie. I said, they're making a movie now about Donald Trump?
We all star as the actor in our own movie, and this is a critical analogy and lesson for people to understand. We act in every single scene of our own movie. And so, by definition, everybody else in our movie can only be one of two things. They can either be a film extra, which many people, that's it, and occasionally supporting cast, like, wife, spouse, child, boss, what have you. But 99.9% of people in our movie are film extras in our movie.
Yes.
Now, the challenge is, because of that dynamic, we tend to think, as we're the star of our own movie, we think everybody else sees us as the star of our movie. But they don't. Why? Because by definition, what role do we play in their movie?
As extras.
As an extra, maybe supporting cast, right?
Yeah.
But what it really means is that most people don't care enough about you to bother to give an opinion, because they're too busy being worried about what they think you're thinking of them.
Absolutely. And I had an experience, a very similar experience in college when I went there, because I was trying to have everyone like me, and it's always like when you try to please everyone, you always get the opposite.
Yeah. Not just that, you're guaranteed to be inauthentic.
Yes.
You're guaranteed to live a life of reaction to other people's opinions, which you can never control. So you're stressed. You're guaranteed to never have the courage to be able to be, to state your own opinions for fear of what other people will think. It's a life of suppression caused by, a ghost that doesn't exist. Because I say most people don't care. As soon as you walk out of the scene in their movie, they're focused on whoever else is walking into and what they think of them as the star in their own movie.
Absolutely, and I think it has a lot to do with education, the first years of education. Let's dive into your experience from the past year. You had a rough ride this year, but from what we've discussed before, it actually turned out to be a very, very enlightening experience. Can you tell us a bit about how it actually happened, like your version of the story, and how you felt in the beginning? What were your aha moments, and how do you feel about it now?
Yeah, all in 30 seconds, hey? Yeah.
Well,
I'll try and keep it brief, and again, I don't want to turn this into a point counterpoint on circumstances, because that's not the reason we're here. But the short story is, I was in court, and we were actually as a civil matter. I was being sued over a business deal that I was arguing with a major national company with, and they put a freezing order on me. I tripped over a few things on that and found myself in court charged with contempt, which I never for 1 second thought would fly.
Right.
And I learned a lot about, it's who's got the best lawyers and who can tell the best story, rather than the facts.
Yeah,
But that's just the nature of how the system's set up, and I write about that in my journal. But the short story is that I got sent to prison for contempt of court as a civil prisoner, and sent to one of the toughest, most violent jails in England. And I was there for 4.5 months before being transferred for the last few weeks to a more open prison. And it was a fascinating adventure. It really was. And yes, I learned a huge amount out of that. And it was, I could, looking back now, it's easy to say for many people after something, well, it was a dish in the buffet of life. I was glad to try. A little chewy. I wouldn't order it again in a restaurant, but I'm glad to try it. But I'm actually, going in at the beginning, that was my attitude. I actually wrote my first letter out of jail was all about how excited I was to have been smuggled into prison as a non-criminal, as a secret agent of change, to be able to go and help people. And that was the attitude I went in with, and it never changed from that day to the day I walked out.
Absolutely. And guys, before we started this interview, I got a chance to see some of the letters that the prisoners wrote. I mean, they were very lucky to be like enclosed in there with you. There were some cases where you helped people get over drug addictions and completely change their lives, right? So, from what I can see, it's like one of those things that you cannot, it just happens, right? It's one of those things that you're supposed to do.
The river of life never runs in a straight line. If you see any straight lines in nature, they're man-made.
Right.
They don't exist in nature.
True.
And the closest you can get is a canal, right? And there's no life in a canal as opposed to a river. Rivers wind, they twist, they turn. That's the nature of life. Everyone that's trying to carve a straight path out for their life knows that the answer to the question is easy. Does it happen? No, of course not. We can never tell what's coming out of left field.
Right.
But my relationship to my challenges is one of only 2 or 3 different things. One is that they're there because I wasn't paying attention to something. It's like the rumble strip on the freeway. You drift off and brrr, it's there. And for many people, that can be a health challenge. It could be a relationship breakdown. It's a rumble strip to say you were drifting off course.
That's interesting, because the first time I ran over that, I thought there was something wrong with my car.
And what many people do, they're driving along and they're listening to their music and they're having a good time. They're partying a bit hard and all the rest of it in their life. And all of a sudden, they hit the rumble strip. And let's say they have a mild heart attack or a stress attack or something.
Right.
They go to the doctors. It's the rumble strip. And what do most people do? They find it inconvenient, so they turn up the music on the radio because they were quite happily driving along.
Makes sense.
It's either the rumble strip or it's there as a teacher.
Right.
It's there as a graduation event. We go to college or we go to school. It's not meant to be easy. It's not meant to be fun. It's not meant to be traumatic either. But it can be all of those things.
Yes.
But the job of school is to present you an environment where you can make better choices so that you have the ability to become smarter intellectually. That's kind of what school is. Right? And, we can argue the toss on whether it does it effectively these days or not, but that's a different conversation.
Yes.
But the job of school is not to make you smart. It's to provide an environment for you to make better choices. And it can be happy times and sad times and everything in between. The job of your teachers in life, and at the end of the school year, guess what? You have an exam to take.
Right.
And if you pass the exam, you go to the next year, and guess what? The answers are harder, the tests are harder. It's meant to be. If you fail the exam, you go back and resit the year in school. Awesome. Now, prison for me was very much a graduation event. And again, I wrote this in my first letter.
Yes.
And it was a case of, I'm here to hopefully practice what I teach and see if I can do it in an environment that tests me past anything I've been in before. And I may not succeed.
Yeah.
But I aim to learn as much as I can, and I know why I'm here. I'm not here over some stupid argument in court.
What was the meaning that you gave it? I mean, a lot of people watching, maybe they're dealing with very difficult situations. I don't know, maybe financially, maybe with their relationships, or maybe, I don't know, in some cases, maybe they're getting ready to go to jail themselves, right? How do you deal with that? What is the meaning that you give to a situation like that, so you don't necessarily, so you don't lose hope, but you actually make it in a positive learning experience?
It's all about your relationship to what happened. I wrote an article inside called Mud or Stars, which changed a lot of people's lives. And and literally hundreds of prisoners, many who got off antidepressants, just through reading that. And I'll make it available for you to be able to share with you.
That would be amazing. Yeah, guys. I'll post the link.
Yeah, and I'll. It was written from a perspective of when I went into jail. Nobody was giving any support mentally to anybody. You like hit the ground hard, and it's like deer in the headlights, especially if it's your first time.
Right.
Now again, I didn't see myself as a prisoner, not for one second. I saw myself as, say, somebody there to help. I was a secret agent of change.
Yeah.
And so, I'm looking around, what can I do to help the system? So I thought, wouldn't it be great when people first arrive for the first ever time to have something that they could at least teach them something to shift their mindset? And I call it Mud or Stars over the old adage, which goes, 2 men sat behind prison bars, one saw mud, the other saw stars. Because the condition is identical, it's how you choose to perceive it. And here's the thing, most people are running around in life with a rule set and a belief system that says something has to happen out there in order for me to feel this in here. In other words, it's like you've got two filing cabinets. Yeah, and what you're really looking for, which is certainty or happiness or calmness, is a feeling.
Yes.
And feeling can only be found in the filing cabinet called internal. And what do? We go searching for it in the external filing cabinet. Oh, when I get a new car, when the judge says that I'm released, or when all this kind of stuff. You can spend your life looking in the wrong filing cabinet trying to find a feeling that's in the other filing cabinet. So knowing that, where to look is one big point. But the second thing is, again, it's the meaning you give it. Acceptance is the first step. And if you don't accept what has already happened, right, because you're resisting it, you will set yourself up for a lifetime of misery, or you'll set yourself up for an uphill battle to try to be happy that's never going to happen.
And I love the definition that you gave, that you said that you wouldn't see yourself as a prisoner, but an agent of change, an agent of, you were there to help, right? Like, guys, what if we all just, woke up in the morning and just saw ourselves like an agent towards contribution, towards making, I wouldn't necessarily say better, because sometimes better, brings worse, and worse sometimes brings better. Right?
It's a very subjective statement.
Yeah. But just like feeling that you're useful to the world, to humanity, and of course to yourself, right? If
you want to get over your fears, there's only one way to do it. Find a reason that's bigger than you.
What was your why being there?
You've already read the letters. I was there to help. I was there to make a difference to people who would never normally get access to my work. I spent 3 decades in personal development. I've spent a quarter of a century over helping people to try to shift their mindset to be able to have a relationship with life that's empowering. But the very people who probably most need that will never get access to my work in jail. So, bring them out into Muhammad. It's like, send me in there. As a sentinel, as somebody that obviously had his own lessons to learn about ego and a few other things that put me in there. That's fine. That's part of the game. But can I really add value at the level that I'm adding value to the people that it's not on stage? There's no cameras. There's no second takes. One wrong sentence means you can have a sharpened toothbrush sticking out of your chest.
Were people violent, or did you feel threatened in the beginning?
3 deaths in 1 week was the worst week I was there.
Wow.
Attempted murders were commonplace. Hospitalizations were almost a daily occurrence. Violence was more than daily occurrence. Blood on the floor was a daily occurrence. It is a massively different environment to what most people even imagine in the movies.
Wow.
And the prison I was in, Pentonville, is one of the worst prisons in the UK. And if you've probably seen the film Shawshank Redemption, a lot of people have. It's very similar to Shawshank in its setup, apart from a smaller exercise yard, about the same age.
Okay.
200-year-olds.
Awesome.
But yes, I never felt threatened.
Really?
Not for 1 second. It was very strange, but because my fiancée Thea, she was obviously massively worried.
Yes.
Because I'm not a violent guy. I don't do martial arts. I can talk a lot faster than most people hit. And
most people hit very, very fast.
And so I've never been the violent type. Now, does that mean to say I can't step up when it happened? Of course, but I'm not a trained fighter. I'm a trained mediator.
So you went there with the certainty that you're gonna be fine, right? You never had like a moment like, will I get out of this alive, or will I ever get?
There was some moments, and some of the letters in there is where people first noticed me when I was diffusing situations, violent situations. And because I think I was there to contribute, because I was there to share, and I wasn't asking anything in return, it kind of gave me a bit of a Switzerland mentality. I was kind of neutral ground. People would come to me to help sort out issues. People would come to me to help write them letters, because most people in there, a lot of people in there couldn't read or write properly. There was a lot of respect that I within a few weeks I was kind of the unofficial wing social worker.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask actually. When did they actually figure out that you were there to help, or there was something different about you?
I don't know if there was a point, because obviously you're interacting at different levels, but you show up as who you are. You get a flower in the room. At some point, people start to smell that there's a rose or what have you. It's you affect it as you go and where you go, and that's all you can do is show up as the best version of who you are in those circumstances. That's all I tried to do. There was one time I remember I was in the exercise yard, and I was teaching some of the big guys. There's a lot of guys there, a lot on steroids, a lot of sort of significance driven, and they're doing chin-ups. And rather than trying to beat each other's reps, I said to the guy, I says, hey guys, try and do an isolated chin-up. So you're not counting reps, you're counting time. So rather than try to do 15, you do 16, you're using all different muscle groups to try to overcompensate, which is all about image. Try and do 30 seconds up, 30 seconds down, continuous movement. Then do 40 seconds up, down, because then you can't cheat.
Yeah.
Right now, okay. And then within a couple of minutes, I hear a fight start behind me. And I look around, there's two guys starting to get really aggressive with another guy who's arrived that day, and somebody's recognized him as a person that, I think, helped put somebody else into prison. So, it's not a place you want to be.
Right.
There's 50 guys out in this exercise yard that all of a sudden I find myself in a circle, and there's 4 people. These 2 guys looking to beat up this other guy and me. And there's like 50 odd people around, like 3 deep. My first thought immediately is, how do I stop this? How do I break this up? How do I get involved and diffuse the situation? About 9 milliseconds later, followed by, this is not the time. Get the hell out. You got to pick your battles, right? Yeah. And I got out of the through there, and within 20 seconds, there's dogs and guards and like people running in and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it wasn't all about you've got to be intelligent as well as know when to walk.
Absolutely. I was actually thinking, how is he going to do it? How is he going to stop this fight? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and there's other times where yes, I step in and I was able, luckily, to diffuse a lot of stuff, and a lot of it's all about being able to have other people get off their own ego, raise the significance of others, which is something that martial arts does very well. It pays so much respect even to opponents. Yeah, it's about how do you raise the significance of other people, and if you do that, you give them really what they're craving. Yeah, it doesn't mean be a doormat or be less than because of. Yeah. And thankfully for the 4.5 months I was in there, I was able to navigate that minefield of violence and drugs and all of the depression pretty much with immunity. I'm very blessed for that, but also have a huge amount of empathy for the people in there that don't have access to the, luckily 30 years of training that I.
And a lot of them are there because, they're born in the environment, an environment that encourages this kind of mentality. You're just like, you're a product of your environment.
Conformity, 1000%. You hang around with 10 drug users, chances are you're going to become the 11th.
Right, exactly. Right. And if I were born in a similar neighborhood, I would probably be in the same situation, right, regardless of...
It's not an excuse, but it is a strong influence. Yes. But everything is also a choice, and you can choose to remove yourself from that environment. Like Oliver, one of the guys I was telling you about.
Yeah, I was actually thinking
just came out of prison, 15 years on crack and heroin, about rock bottom, suicidal. I spent 3 months working with Oliver in the prison, and he's now off drugs. And the first thing he did when he got out, he's getting himself on his feet, and him and his mum are buying a house, outside of London, outside of the environment where he was influenced with drugs, and over on the coast to start a new life. Because he realized how important it is to surround yourself with a positive level of influence. And luckily we can do that now, not necessarily with proximity, which we always had to do. We can do it with podcasts. We can do it with online mentors. We can do it with all sorts of books. There's no excuse anymore not to make better decisions.
Absolutely. And by the way, guys, I actually read the handwritten letter by Oliver, and Peter had a huge influence in his life. Like in 3 months, he completely changed, right?
And that's inside the worst prison in England, where most people come out more addicted to drugs than when they went in.
Absolutely. Do you feel like you have? Are you planning to help a lot more inmates now?
Yes. When I was in there, the first thing I did was look at what could I do to help the system, and it didn't take me long to find out the system doesn't want to be helped. It's addicted to the status quo. It's mired in a conformist, politically driven sort of mire that just doesn't serve the outcomes. Yeah. And so I put an entire program together on how to shift that. And that was in my second letter. And laid it all out, tried to get some buy-in from the governors, a lot of resistance. But one thing I wanted to do was put together a new prisoner induction booklet that had model stars, that had references, that had a letter that helped people shift their mindset, to give them a choice, because that will make a massive difference. And so I'm working on that right now with a judge actually that has a I've been helping refine a personal development program that he's been amazing at being able to put out into the prison service. So there's ways that, yes, I'm hoping to leave a lasting impact on top of what I did while I was in there.
It's so interesting, and it's very interesting how these things tend to work themselves out. Because if you didn't have this experience, maybe inmates would never have the opportunity, like you said, to get in touch with personal development, with materials like this, right? So it was a huge blessings for everyone who's facing time in jail.
Oh, I've absolutely no regrets about what happened at all. It was one of the most incredible experiences and adventures of my life. I wouldn't swap a second of it.
Yes.
It's a growth opportunity for everybody. And while I was in there, I got 6 months unplugged. Without telephones, emails, battery life, push notifications, all the stuff that encroaches on us today.
This is not an encouragement.
But one has to take time out.
Yeah.
Because when you see the brain science around how we are conditioned to be, to stimulate our amygdala consistently, to lose attention. The biggest skill set you can develop in terms of being productive is concentration. Most people can't concentrate for 3 minutes without looking at their phone, even if the push notifications haven't gone off, to see if there's something there they haven't seen yet.
Yes.
And to spend 6 months out of that, I remember that it was literally after 3 months and 9 days, my journaling started going to an entirely different level. And the last 3 months I was in there, so 6 months in total, was so profound. So it brought so much more depth to the work that I now do. My next seminar, I'm so excited to be able to give, because the depth of information I'm bringing is such a different level. I'm excited to be able to share. That wouldn't have happened had I not done that.
Guys, if you ever had this experience where you're just sitting by yourself, no phone, just looking out there in nature or whatever, just staring at nothing, and then you start having these insights out of nowhere, and you're asking yourself, where did that come from, right? I'm guessing that this happened over and over and over while you were there.
Yes, because I was very mindful about what my energy levels are at. For most people, again, depending on what level you want to get into here, but I'll challenge a couple of belief systems. We don't think our thoughts. Right? That's a misnomer.
Yes.
People think that, our brain generates thoughts. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't generate thoughts any more than a radio station generates music.
Yes, it's a receiver.
It's a receiver.
Yes.
Now, all of those thoughts are constantly playing at whatever radio station you choose to tune into. All right? So if you're depressed, how many happy thoughts do you tune into? What music do you play on your radio station? It's not difficult. If you're happy, how many depressing songs suddenly start streaming into your consciousness? It doesn't happen.
Yes.
Right, so we are radio stations. We tune that frequency by raising our vibration or not.
Yes.
Electronic stimulation, overstimulation lowers frequency. So you're going to be stressed, therefore you're going to tune into stressful music. So if you start to understand that in there is massive negative music playing constantly.
Really?
In prison.
You mean like tuning into
the general energy in prison is apathy, fear, anger, shame, guilt, all of the low-level stuff.
Right.
And if you don't protect yourself by consciously directing your own energy, your own thoughts, your own thinking, by default, you'll start listening to that music.
How would you do that? How would you keep yourself or keep your frequency high?
First thing is understand that this isn't about you. It's a bigger why. Yes, I'm here to learn my lesson. This is a graduation event. If I'm starring in my movie, going back to that metaphor, then guess what?
Like Donald Trump.
Yeah. Well, let's pick Daniel Craig. Yeah. Let's pick James Bond. Yeah. As a slightly less contentious.
I'm fine. I will watch the Donald Trump movie, to be honest.
I think it's more of a soap opera than a movie, but yeah. But let's say you pick a James Bond movie. Now you get Daniel Craig, current James Bond guy.
Yeah.
He's going to read the script and accept the script or not. And once he accepts the script, he's then, as a professional actor, going to act that script. Now there's going to be parts on there where he's with the Bond girl, in bed, having a great time. Yeah, those scenes he probably likes to shoot. Yeah, there's going to be a scene where he's under the Arctic frozen ice, wrestling underwater with a baddie. Right? He 3 months on set, away from his family. Stuntmen around, freezing water. Not the best scene to act, but it's part of the movie, right? And he's a professional, and he does it. I'd love to act in more scenes where I'm with my my fiance and we're in bed, or I'm walking my dogs, or I'm on drinking nice wine.
Yes.
But there's also scenes where I've got to go and spend time underwater fighting the baddies, right? Because it's part of makes me a better actor. And that was just I was shooting the prison scene in my movie. I was happy with that, and that was my relationship to it. And I'll get the job done, and at some point I'll be back home, and I was. So that helped me shift my contextual relationship to the environment rather than think, oh my God, I'm in prison. No, I'm shooting the prison scene. Yeah, I'm grateful to be here in this movie called Life, regardless. I want to be the best actor I can be in. How do you do that? By challenging yourself.
Yeah.
Look at the greats. Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man. Yeah, Bob Hoskins in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Right.
Groundbreaking performances from people that push the boundaries for others to follow. Well, what boundaries are we pushing in our own lives? Or are we trying to hide out in a comfort zone of mediocrity and then wonder why we're unhappy?
Yes. And by the way, guys, this is gold. If you are in a difficult situation in your life, or if you want to have I wouldn't necessarily say improvement, but if you just want to change your life or have new experiences, this is very, very powerful. Just accepting the idea that you're not just going to have like the fluff and the good, the moments that you enjoy, that you're going to go through some difficult scenes in your movie as well. Yeah.
The purpose of life is not to be happy, right? Why do people follow that fairy tale yellow brick road and wonder why it leads nowhere?
Yeah.
The purpose of life is to grow up emotionally.
Yes.
And most people, unfortunately, are emotional teenagers that are collecting a pension. Because we're not taught. It's not our own fault. We need guidance, and there's very few people out there that are able to guide. Now, I've been very blessed to have some amazing mentors in my life to be able to follow. Yes. But our purpose of life is not to be happy, just like the purpose of a relationship is not to make you happy. If you think that, then you're in Disneyland.
Yeah.
Purpose of a relationship is to bring your disowned parts to the surface so that you can actually accept and include them and grow up to be more loving rather than more judgmental. Yeah, but if you think your partner's job is to make you happy, good luck with being frustrated or single for the rest of your life. Yeah, so life isn't here to make you happy. School is not there to make you happy. It's not there to make you smart. It's there to give you an environment to grow. Yeah, life, Earth School, if you call it that, is an environment we come into, in my belief, so that we can make better choices to grow up, so that we can choose love instead of fear in more challenging circumstances.
How do you feel that you've grown out of after this experience? Do you feel you're more humble, or what has changed?
There was certainly some lessons I need to learn around ego, right? But I don't know if you're ever familiar with the term indigo children. Yeah, I'm a classic indigo at every level. So my nature is to resist institutional authority.
Oh, yeah.
My nature is to kick back.
Yeah, I'm exactly like that.
Yeah, and so it's tough. You put me in a situation where I think somebody's doing something that is not playing with a straight bat. I'm going to kick back.
Right.
And if that doesn't fit the parameters of social law and justice on how it's been constructed to support that level of dogma, then I'm going to find myself in jail at some point, I guess. And so as long as I'm not hurting anybody else, which I didn't, as long as I'm not making anybody else feel less than, which I didn't. There's no crime here.
Yes.
There was me resisting a set of legalized handcuffs, if you like, or corporate handcuffs that somebody had engineered to try to, in my mind, teach me a lesson that was out of order. So I kicked back, and that got me to court and in contempt. So as a result of that, I had to probably learn some more refinements around being more humble. Because when I went to court, I was there to battle with the people that put me there, and rather than apologize to the court for tripping up over a freezing order.
Yes.
I got it completely wrong, and I write about this in my third letter.
Excellent. So, do you feel that if you would have been more humble then in that moment, you would have avoided this whole circumstance, this whole situation?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And that would have robbed me of the gifts that I've just had for the last 6 months.
Absolutely.
People say hindsight is a wonderful thing. No. Hindsight will rob you of the lessons you need to learn. And guess what? We're not here to be perfect.
Yes.
If you think you're born on planet perfect, then stop smoking whatever you're smoking.
Yeah, that's a lot of the things that you feel that are negative that are gonna happen in your life. Most of them are blessings in disguise, without which you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be the person that you are today. Yes.
Yeah, 100%. We don't learn from the white squares on the chessboard. When the sun's out and we're kicking back with a margarita and everything's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, who you are doesn't have to show up there. Yeah, that your limits there are not tested.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tiny little weights in the gym.
So you're saying that I cannot drink margaritas every evening for the rest of my life and sit back
Well, if
and
you
do nothing?
then you'll probably hit a rumble strip, right? Which will be life's way of saying that. Well, okay, let's compensate that for a health scare.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a girlfriend that doesn't appreciate an alcoholic. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So what's your view on life right now after this whole experience?
Not much different in terms of my relationships life. I adore life. I'm so grateful to be here every single day. Win, lose, or swing the bat. It's a case of, I want to squeeze every drop out of every day that I can. And I'm happy to have these kind of experiences. Again, that's a side of life I'd never thought I'd ever get to see apart from movies. Yeah. And it's not like it is in the movies. Now again, would I go revisit that? No.
Not necessarily.
No, right. not my first choice, unless there's lessons there I need to learn, in which case, yes, life will send me back to college to pass the exam if I failed it the first time around.
Yeah, yeah.
But for me, life is an amazing gift. I've been up, I've been down. I lost virtually everything going inside. This isn't a case of, it's okay for him because. No, I lost my business, I lost my reputation, I lost my my money, I lost, virtually I was about to lose my home.
Yeah, yeah.
It's you've got all of that weight on your shoulders as well. Right? So it's not a cakewalk. But who you are is not what you have.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not going to take it with us. The only people that tried that were the Egyptians, and we dug it up and stole it. And that's pretty much it. We're not here to accumulate stuff. And everybody that gets to the top of Success Mountain thinking that that's where they find happiness wants to jump off because they realize they don't. You see that in every lottery winner that's pretty much out there.
Yeah.
Or stressed out entrepreneurs that think, if only I make my first million, then I'll be happy. And guess what?
And then you do, and then you're like, is this all there is?
Well, now you've got to make another million in case you lose the first, and you wonder why your kids are on drugs and your wife's having an affair with the gardener. So from that perspective, it's not about trying to be happy. It's about being able to pursue happiness. Happiness is a byproduct of your pursuit of growth.
Yes.
Regardless of the circumstances.
And by the way, guys, an incredible tool that I found to dive deeper and center myself and go, focus on the things that really matter in my life is meditation. And also through our martial arts training, we get more in touch with our bodies and feel a lot more comfortable living in our bodies. And just as you said, the only thing that you own, and maybe not even your body, actually, you don't even own your body sometimes, right? Is this state of, it doesn't matter what happened. It's not about what I have. It's just about this whole journey of going through life, right? Are you worried that you're not gonna build a business again, or? Right?
That's who I am. I built 27 so far.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. That's like saying, to someone who's had their guitar taken away, do you think they'll ever learn? They'll ever play the guitar again?
Yeah. Just find another guitar.
Absolutely. It's an expression of who you are. It's
awesome.
I can't wait to bring what I'm doing right now, and already started. Back to the market. And the first thing I'm doing that with is by sharing the private journals that I wrote inside.
Yes. Where can people find them? Because you wrote close to a book, right? Or a whole book, right?
It's actually a real-time account of what was happening as I was doing it. But what I was doing, I was writing in a way that teaches people how.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're break, all the way I was dealing with it, the tools, the techniques I was using to try to cope with this traumatic experience that most people thought I wouldn't survive. How I was helping others, whether it was in suicide or drug addiction. I broke everything down and wrote it in kind of a real-time journal that I shared with my coaching clients at the time. But I came out, I reread it, I'm like, wow, there's so much in here, and people were saying, you've got to share this with the world.
Yes.
So it's at my website at petersage.com, and it's called The Inside Track, and I'm very grateful to be able to offer that out to whoever wants to go read and check out, see if it's something they want to benefit from.
Absolutely, guys. I totally recommend checking out Peter's website and downloading the book. Can they order it on paperback or?
Not yet. And at the moment, as I say, just go there. It's download. It's complimentary. It's a gift that I want to give up to people coming as my way of coming out. And and go use what you learn in there to be able to help yourself and help others.
Yeah. And I feel like the best way to actually help yourself is by teaching this stuff to other people and just sharing with other people. Yes.
Life is about growth and contribution. And that's the dividing point between really getting out of the emotional immaturity and learning how to grow up in Earth School to become a better version of us. The second we realize it's not about us, all stress comes from us focusing on ourselves too much.
Yes.
Once we start being able to get something that's bigger than us to contribute to, we align with the natural order of nature, which is growth and contribution. And the river tends to flow a little easier.
That is so nice. That is so nice. Thank you so much for your time and your insight.
Pleasure.
I'm very, very grateful that you're here in Bucharest, Romania, and I'm sure the whole community over here is very because Peter is holding an event today for us, and we're all pumped to attend it.
Me too. I can't wait to see what I'm going to share, but it's been beautiful. It's my first trip to Romania. It's very rare that I get to come to a new country these days, and I've been so looking forward to coming to Romania for so long. And I've got so many people here that have been so supportive of my work. It's truly blessed and very humble to actually come and be amongst the energy of you guys. And you've got such a groundswell of people that are embracing personal growth and development. It's a pleasure to be able to come and serve.
Awesome. Guys, please go ahead and check out Peter's website. I'll post a link in the description, and absolutely download his book. You're going to get a lot of insight, a lot of value. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, my friend.